live, and I'm going to turn mine on, and then if there's questions, I'll
Okay,
yell
that's
out
cool.
to you.
Jessica, would you mind manning a whiteboard and a pen quick? Okay, I always like to be fairly interactive, or otherwise they get really boring, and I find that people don't learn as much when it's not interactive. Everybody okay with being interactive?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, good, good. So I like to see what everybody's looking to see from any class I teach on like what they're hoping to learn or why they came today. So if everybody wouldn't mind throwing out like, you know, what they're hoping to learn or what they came here today, so we can make sure that we cover those things and make sure that you get the most out of this that we possibly can. So what, just shout them out, but one at a time, what are people looking to learn today, or what are they hoping to see from this class?
Well, I get all the Facebook leads from my team, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing everything that works.
Okay. Yep. So what works? Jessica is probably the first.
Most of my business comes from social media.
Okay.
So, but I know that I've lost a lot of it because I don't know how to, I don't know what to ask. I don't know what to say. I have like something in mind, but I'm sure I can learn something new.
Okay. So maybe better scripts or what to say, how to convert more. Okay.
So, yeah, conversion, how to keep conversation going.
Okay.
And how to just reel them in.
Maybe hooks or. Okay.
This is Mark. Can you hear me?
Yep. Got you, Mark.
Yeah, I would say kind of along the same line, how to differentiate yourself from anybody else that's trying to convert these kind of leads. You know, sometimes it seems like people get inundated with realtors trying to get their listings, and how do you set yourself apart? How do you make yourself stand out from the crowd? So I guess that's kind of like the hooks that you just talked about.
Yep. What are the hooks? Absolutely. Okay. What else? Anybody else online besides Mark? Looks like most of you are muted, so you'd have to make sure.
How fast do you have to follow up?
Okay. How fast do you have to follow up?
What kind of like targets do you target towards? Like I used to do something for another business, and so I would, you know, it was a birth doula, so it was like midwives and OBGYNs.
Oh, so like demographic targets.
Demographics, that's the word. Thank you.
Okay. What else? Got a pretty good list, but what else? Anybody else that's?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Just kind of along the same lines as hooks, but ways in which you can show right off the bat you're looking to add value. Rather than just ways that you can like demonstrate you're trying to add value rather than just soliciting like their business.
Yep. It's a pretty decent list. Anything else? No? Okay, that's good. Well, in all fairness and transparency, I've not taught a class in this before, but I do this at an extremely high level. So that's probably what lends me to be able to teaching this. So this is kind of first run at this, but we'll go through it together, and we'll build off this, and I'm sure you guys will have some 1 or 2 takeaways that can help you sell 2 to 5 homes every year. So if everybody's okay with figuring out a way to sell another, 5 to 10 homes a year, this will be good.
For sure.
If people aren't, then they maybe shouldn't be in this room.
It's time to go.
Zach, are you standing or not? go. There you go. And then maybe, Jessica, if you got a way to like take a picture of that and put it on the Zoom or something, and
Yeah, I'll figure something out.
maybe, please, thank you. Don't mean to have you be my tech ambassador, but.
Oh, gosh,
Sorry.
sorry.
Just the right number. Okay. So I think the first thing you have to really look at is what's your platform, right? And picking a platform and realizing that before you really can go to multiple platforms, you better be pretty good at one platform. And I understand that platforms have, let's call it cross-pollination, right? Where you can list on one and especially Facebook or Instagram, it can go from one to one. So I think as far as like, let's look at what's free first, right? So social media obviously can be free. Now you can spend a lot of money on it and, pay to have subscribers or pay to have likes or all that kind of stuff. But I think you got to look at it and say, where do I want to go and what am I willing to do on a routine basis as far as putting up posts or, adding things on there. Like Instagram, on Instagram, there's an agent with Keller Williams. His name's Jimmy Rex. So I would follow him. It's just, if you just look him up, Jimmy Rex, you can find his stuff on Instagram. REX, yes. Yep, Ronnie, REX. So Jimmy Rex. And Jimmy last year, I know the number was somewhere like around 60 units he did just right from Instagram. But his stuff isn't all about real estate, and that's what you really got to make sure that you're not barfing out real estate to everybody. And I think that's super important. Jimmy travels all over the world, as you'll see in his Instagram, and he's in Bali, or all of a sudden
He scuba dives with sharks.
yeah. So, but that's Jimmy's stick. He's really, really interesting, and so that's his stick, and that's what he does. As far as Facebook goes, so Instagram's their great platform. As far as Facebook goes, or any of this, you really, really have to get down to what are the end results. With any lead generation, I don't give a damn other than how many closings you've had. I really don't. And I'm just gonna be blunt, because if you don't have closings, I don't care that you generated 5 million leads for 25 cents. It's like, whatever, like, great, congratulations, you just swamped yourself in leads, and that's not gonna materialize to anything, and it's probably gonna be such a distraction that you don't even know what you're gonna do with it. And I'm yet to hear somebody that's really been like, oh, I spend all this money on Facebook. Everybody always says, I spend X amount of money on Facebook and I get X amount of leads. And I'm like, okay, great. That doesn't matter anything to me. You need to tell me how many closings you had. We look at everything as cost per closing. Everything is cost per closing. I don't care about how many cost per lead. It just doesn't matter. It's like cost per closing. Now, we have a track record where we can say on various platforms, I can tell you on every single platform that we have, whether it's social media, whether it's Zillow, whether it's Realtor, whether it's whoever, I can tell you our cost per closing. So eventually you need to be able to track that. And one thing that you got to really know is with any of the free ones or any of the paid ones, it's time on task over time. So if you're going to be effective at doing any of these platforms, you need to spend time on those platforms, and it needs to be a minimum of 6 months. 6 months, if you're going to do an Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or TikTok, you have to post 1 to 2 times a week, and it can't just be about real estate. Because if it is, people are just going to shut down. So I would encourage you to look like Jimmy Rex or the #1 real estate agent on YouTube. His name's Graham something or another. If you, I forget his last name and I apologize, but just Google Graham Real Estate YouTube, and I think he's got 2.3 million subscribers, which probably makes him make, I don't know, somewhere around $500,000 a year. I would imagine on YouTube is what the guy is raking in because of that many subscribers.
Graham Stephen?
And probably younger guy, blonde. He's got like he's got a white car on his page. Yep, Graham Stephan. Be a big fan of ripping off and duplicating. And that guy started 3 years ago. That's it. His first video was 3 years ago. So in 3 years, he's amassed 2.4 million subscribers are watching him. And again, but that's time on task over time. If you look back, I saw it, he's got a post on there. He was like 6 months in. He's like, we just reached 10,000 subscribers. Thanks, everybody. And now it's snowballed, you know, and that's what happened. That's what can happen with any business. Is you got to remember that success, whether it's in business or in your personal life, can definitely be gradual and sudden. It's like a hockey stick, right? That's what success is. And a lot of people give up way too quickly. And we'll turn this back around. A lot of people really give up way too quickly in life, or, you know, in exercise. You know, it's like what happens the first of the year. Typically, everybody goes out and gets a gym membership, right? And they're all going to the gym, and I work out. And my wife hates that because she's a gym rat, for lack of better words. That she's in the gym and she works out like crazy. So she hates January through about February 15th. But after February 15th, guess what happens? So what ends up happening is if you look at life or success, a lot of people, you know, everybody starts, and, you know, they do stuff, you know, consistently, you know, right at the beginning. You know, if we'll just say that this is 6 months, you know, it can be longer than that, but let's just say 6 months. And then all of a sudden, depending on what you're doing, it gets more sporadic. Then all of a sudden somebody's like, you know, right about here, a lot of people just are like, 3 months in, I'm giving up. And it's like, why are you giving up? It's only been 3 months. And a lot of Americans especially are so instant gratification that they never let something play out as long as they possibly should. So if you don't let it play out to at least 6 months with anything that we're talking about, and you're not consistently doing it, don't come to me and tell me it doesn't work. Because I'll come back to you and say, okay, what did you do? How much time did you spend doing it? Did you do the 1 to 2 posts? Were you not just barfing out real estate information to people? And what were you doing to be, you know, creative about it? And again, rip off and duplicate it. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Look at what some of these other people did and then put your own spin on it and be creative with it. I mean, you know, there's people that have made themselves billionaires because of social media. There are, you know, and within a very short period of time. So everybody's got a platform that they can use. But with Facebook, you know, obviously we have the command ads that we can do. I think you really need to be targeted and have a unique proposition to give to those ads. And you really need to narrow down the demographics based on the proposition that you're looking for. For instance, it's pretty easy through command to say, okay, I want to target people that are renters. My value proposition to them is going to be Minnesota Housing, or it's going to be like the Wish program, or it's going to be Keller Mortgage. Keller Mortgage is probably one of the biggest things that everybody in here should be using as one of their I gotcha type of hooks. You know, and it's just really having a script around it, and Colin teaches a class around it. I don't know when that's going to be taught again, but Colin teaches a class around that. And I know many people, I'm sure like Mark, and I know Ronnie's probably been in there, Jessica, I mean, so the next time that Colin teaches that class, I would really encourage anybody to go and take it, but it's really utilizing Keller Mortgage, not only for like lead generation online, but utilizing it when you go into listing presentations. You know, I can't tell you how many listings, I'm sure we've got 10 to 15 listings this year because of Keller Mortgage and using it effectively in the listing presentation. Because if I'm not, even if I'm competing against another Keller Williams agent, they're not bringing it up in the listing presentation. So I would encourage you all to dive into Keller Mortgage and see how it can help you with listings. And it definitely helps you with buyers. I mean, it can give you an advantage that nobody else has. So that's pretty important to do that.
Jason.
Yes, sir.
I was driving, I think, Northeast Minneapolis. I saw your sign.
Okay.
HD, and it said special finance.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Can you do that still?
I don't know, we're doing it.
I was like, yep, Keller Mortgage. Right there.
Yeah, you had one by Lake Calhoun. I was like, hey, that's fine.
That was
Yep.
good. That was good.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason.
I think just on MLS, you can't list it.
Oh, you can't
In
write
any-
any finance.
Yeah, but you can do that sign, and then in the house, you can leave those pictures.
That
That
I've
says you
done.
can save this much.
The other thing is, answer your flipping phones.
Yeah.
I mean, just ridiculous. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. Answer your phone. So I can't even give you a number about how much money I've made from being prompt at answering my phone.
Oh, yeah.
Let's put it this way. It'd be a large enough number that it would make your head spin, and I don't even know what that number is.
Yep, if you don't recognize the number.
Yeah, take whatever you're thinking, you probably can double or triple it, and that's probably what I've generated in income off of answering my phone. It's a very novel thing, but you actually are in sales. It is a contact sport. Even with COVID, it's still a contact sport, you know, and I appreciate everything that's going on with COVID, and at the same time, what I've told our team, especially when it was first there, is we are not going to let COVID be our excuse for not being successful. COVID will not be my excuse. I'm not going to let it happen. I will still truck forward, and we will still do business. We will figure out how to adjust and recenter ourselves, but don't let COVID be your excuse for 2020, because we're not going to let it. So the minute that you let it be your excuse, I'm going to take my unfair share, and I'm going to go out there, and every single agent that's letting it be their excuse, our team's going out there and actively doing more deals because people are, oh, I can't do something. I understand if you have a family situation that you live in, you know, but like with me, with my mom, like I love my mom, but I haven't hugged her since, I don't know, mid-March, because she's got heart issues. I haven't been within 6 feet of her. You know, I mean, I've sat on her porch. She's got a nice porch on her house, but I haven't been in her house physically since mid-March. So I think I'm not downplaying COVID. I'm just saying I'm not going to let it be our team's excuse for not being successful in 2020. So please don't take that out of context, but I think all of you get what I'm intending to say, hopefully at least. TikTok, who knows if it's going away? Trump's buying it, Microsoft's buying it. I'm sure there's probably a side of that, and there's probably a lot of things that us as Americans are kind of maybe sheltered from. I think it'd be a scary place if you knew everything that was actually probably going on. Not saying that it's not a scary place as is. Again, it's one of those things where you gotta have time on task over time, and you gotta have a good message, and you gotta have talent behind that message too. You might want to follow us, specifically Caitlin and Holly. They had a video go viral. I think we're at 2.5 million views on the video. We've done a couple deals already. We've referred out in excess of 20 referrals around the country. It's all that. That has nothing to do with me. So please, I'm fortunate that I get to stand up here and be the face of the Huerkamp home group, but please understand that I give direction and I laid the foundation, but I'm not the person that's really building all the pieces of the skyscraper.
We'll get you on TikTok, don't worry.
I'm not scared of being on TikTok. I'm just saying, no, I'm not scared at all of being on it, and I don't know that it's a good idea for me to be on it. Just not a good dancer, I've been told. Not that I don't give it my damnedest. But
Get you a couple shots first.
well, even then, it's more hands and legs of flailing. So what I'm getting at though is, you know, the HHG is, you know, it's not me. I'm fortunate and blessed I get to be, you know, the face. But like TikTok, I had no influence in that at all. It was all Holly and Caitlin. That they did that all. But they have, you know, it's like they get that one video that's 2.5 million views. Their first video, you could go back and look. I don't even know how many views it had. You know, I mean, it's gone up significantly because all of a sudden, wham, you had one that hit, and then you get up 2.5 million people that saw one. So, but the first one might have had, I don't know, I think we were like, oh, hey, we got 500 views, you know, on one. We're like, this is awesome. And then the one, for whatever reason, you know, Trump must have been pushing it or something. For whatever reason, the one went crazy, you know. And I know we have one pending locally at 350, and we have in excess of 20 referrals that we've sent around the country. So 20, you get a 25% referral fee on each. I don't know, it's five deals. We've only been doing this for 3 months, maybe 4. It hasn't been longer than that. Now, could we have gotten that success if we hadn't done it? Absolutely not. Should everybody expect that they get that success that quickly? No. And you got to realize what you're competing against to a certain degree on all of these platforms is, you know, Tinley on our team did the TikTok deal, and she brought like the team brochure, because we have a team brochure, and then the girl that she sold the house to was like, oh my gosh, they're not actors. Those are actually people on your team, you know, because I mean, that, you know, I would hope that everybody on their TikTok channel has got people that are them or associated with them, but sometimes it is actors, sometimes it is dancers. And so you got to realize there's a level of competition that you have to be willing and able to compete with on some of this. But guess what? Every single one of these channels, for the most part, started somewhere, and they started small, right? I mean, like that Ryan kid on YouTube that opens toys and reviews them. And last year he made $26 million. But he started somewhere. He didn't start, now there's 50 employees that do the deal, but he's making $26 million a year. He's, I don't know, 9 or 10 or I don't know, 12 or something. No, I'm serious.
He's like the real life version of Big.
Yeah, no, he's, but he started somewhere, right? He started somewhere, and that's what you all have to look at and do and say, okay, where am I going to start? Which one of these is going to be the platform that I'm going to run with and do it well? Because if you do that, I mean, it's not, we're anticipating that we'll probably do 8 deals in the next 12 months from TikTok. I think actually we want to do 8 deals this year. We'll see. You never know. We're on pace right now, or I don't know, we potentially could have 6. So
That's awesome.
yeah. So and it was just that one thing where all of a sudden it went viral, and there you go. So so the first part of that was you control it. And what I meant by you control it is, for the most part, nobody can take it away from you unless Trump decides that we're not going to do TikTok, then I guess that's going away. So it could. I guess it is what it is at that point. But for the most part, you know, you're not going to get that social media taken away, and it's free. And we'll get into what I mean by getting stuff taken away. So you control it with social media or with the internet, and you spend money. And for the most part, these aren't going to be able to ever be taken away. So what I like about that, like Google Ads, you know, pay-per-click. And do they allow that in Command yet? Is there any sort of pay-per-click thing, pay-per-click with Command? I don't know if there is.
I don't know.
There's a ton of different CRMs out there that we'll get to in a little while. But like we use Commissions Inc. still. Eventually we'll switch over to Command. Command's just not ready for a team really yet. There are teams that are using it. we're not going to use it until I'm 100% ready that I can just plug and play. So with like Google Ads and Bing and Yahoo, we spend money on a monthly basis through our platform, and you could have somebody manage pay-per-click just with your Keller Williams site easily. You can have somebody manage it through there. And like my Commissions Inc. site, we could use Commissions Inc. to do it, but we have gone out and found other people to do that for us. Initially, it will cost you typically to get set up with one of these pay-per-click companies, and you want to make sure that it's real estate specific and real estate residential sales specific is what the person that you hire does and has track records of doing it well at. And please make sure whenever you're going out and spending your own money, get testimonials, find people hopefully organically other than the testimonials that someone gives you, because I think this year's the first year I haven't been burnt for more than $10,000 on something where I was, usually I had that just in the budget. There's like Jason's $10,000 a year mistake. Because no, seriously, I would make at least one $10,000 a year mistake. And that's a good point because I was willing to fail, right?
Yeah.
I was willing to fail every year by at least 10,000 bucks. And I was just throwing darts at the wall on some of it. And I fail. I succeed a lot more than I fail. But I'm not willing to throw those darts at the wall and say, okay, yep, not a home run, but I hit a grand slam on this one. And that one I lost 10 grand. But up until this year, I really had been okay with, and I'm not saying that I'm still not, I just haven't lost the 10 grand that I know of yet this year. Maybe it'll happen in the next 5 months, maybe. So what you got to be okay with though is finding that social media person. Everybody's got a Keller Williams website. You can go out and find the person to run that social media, figure out how much money you want to spend on a monthly basis on PPC, and direct people to your website. And you can look for buyers, you can look for sellers. Right now we're spending $1,500 a month on our PPC. I think our average lead cost us somewhere around $750 a lead. And right now I think it's got a 10-to-1 return, which is a 10-to-1 gross number, not gross like yucky, but a gross number. So that's incredible actually. I just have to see how scalable it is. I don't know that I could spend $15,000 a month and still have a 10-to-1 return. I'm not sure, but that's relatively inexpensive to do. And I'm not saying you would have to spend that kind of money, because as an individual agent, you shouldn't, because look at the cost per lead. If it's $7.50 and you're spending, $1,500 a month, well, it's like 175 leads a month or whatever. That's rough math. Don't hate me if that's not the right numbers, but it's close. So no agent really probably can handle more than about 50 leads a month. Anything more than about 50 leads a month, and there's no way that you're going to service them right. We actually say 30 leads a month, and I think I stole that number from Ben Kinney, so ripped off and duplicated it. Might be the better way, but yeah, no more than about 30 leads a month. Anytime you have more than 30 leads, you're cherry picking. That's what you're doing. You're not really nurturing those leads. You're cherry picking them. So you always want to, how many leads do you have? But you can go out there and find a social media manager. Make sure it's somebody that's willing to not just go after Google. You want somebody that knows how to do it right on Bing and know how to do it right on Yahoo. And we monitor on our system will tell us like, okay, this is PPC from Bing, Yahoo, and so forth. Might be a little bit harder with your Keller Williams website to do that, but our internal CRM lets us differentiate that. Facebook command ads. I still think, I know there's people that are starting to have some success. Again, I get back to show me the money. Jerry Maguire, show me the money, because I want to know really where the money is. I don't care how many leads you get and to me, it's really, okay, show me the closings. Like, what did you get for closings? Because if you hadn't had any closings and you're buying all these leads at 50 cents, $1, $2, and if it takes, you know, what we focus on is high quality, expensive leads. That's what we focus on, high quality, expensive leads, because I don't want to weed through them. I don't have the time, and I don't want to have our agents or our team really weed through them.
So how are you getting high quality, expensive leads?
We're spending the money. Show me the money. We're spending $7.50 on a lead versus
Okay.
50 cents on Facebook. You know, I'm spending 15 times what people are spending. So I'm being very, and it's a good question, Sarah. I didn't mean to be, I wasn't trying to be short there, so don't take it that way. I just can be very blunt. You know, it's not that I'm just blunt. Yeah, it's just, you got to spend the money. And really what I would look at if I was going to do command leads, I would really start working with command and figuring out, like, okay, how can I spend the most amount of money possible on a command lead? Like when I'm setting it up, like how can I set it up to spend the most amount of money that I can? Because everybody's thinking just the opposite. How can I set it up to spend the least amount of money? Well, there probably needs to be a paramount shift to, like, how can I spend the most amount of money on those command ads? Now, I'm not telling you to go spend $20 a lead or anything, but I would really encourage people to do is like, okay, how can I go spend $5 a lead and see what happens then? And I don't know, we've never tried that, but I think everybody gets attached to 30 leads for $5. I don't know how that could be worth a darn, because I know what I spend to convert the lead. You know, we have leads that are, believe it or not, $500 a lead, but that's okay, because it's a super high quality lead, and that might make a lot of people like squirm in their seat, but that's a truthful number. However, I would much rather have 3 leads that cost me $1,500, 2 of those leads result in a closing, than I generated 4,500 Facebook leads for the same money, and it's more than that, and I didn't get a single closing because I'm inundated with following up with a bunch of people that their buddy somehow played a joke on them and put their phone number and email address in it. I mean,
How do you get those high-end leads? Yeah.
But who are you paying?
What
oh,
website, what-
well, Zillow, I mean, I will preface that, and I've said this numerous times. If you're going to play on Zillow or Realtor.com, quite frankly, if it makes your stomach hurt to think about driving down the freeway and throwing $10,000 out your moonroof, this is really not the space for you to play. It's a quick, it can be a way to drain your pocketbook extremely fast and lose your shorts. And it's a place where if you're not spending thousands of dollars on a monthly basis, you don't even go there, because you won't get enough recognition, and it will be painful. Sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
No, well, so I was gonna say for those of us that don't have $10,000 to
PPC.
throw out the window.
PPC.
What's PPC?
Pay-per-click.
Oh, pay-per-click.
Yep, PPC. PPC, and then going and really playing with command and going the complete opposite of where everybody else is going. How many leads can I get for the cheapest? Go to how few leads can I get for the most amount of money and see how that plays out.
How does that work though, like that in the system? Like if I'm giving $100, how do I know that I'm getting?
Just gotta narrow the demographic.
Is
You
that
know,
what it is?
it basically shows you the
Yeah.
cost per lead, right? Or it
Yeah.
shows you a range.
Okay,
Be very specific. Like if I like listed a horse farm, I would be very specific at targeting people in a particular area, range within that house, you know, whatever it is, 10 miles within that house. I would target 50 miles within that house. I might even target 5 miles within that house. And I'm going to target people that like equestrian things. They you know, maybe they like featherlight trailers or featherlight horse trailers. And I'm being very specific about that demographic. I think, you know, what'll happen is the more specific you are about that demographic on command, or anything, whether it's command or anything that you're advertising on Facebook, the more you narrow that down, the cost per lead is going to ratchet up, and that scares a lot of people away. All that does to me is it says I get a better quality lead. I don't care if I spend $100 on a lead versus 50 cents, that $100 lead is probably going to have a much higher chance of converting.
That's interesting because what I was told, and I'm still experimenting.
Mhm.
You know, so say I get a house in Lakeville, you know, 3-4 bedroom, whatever. Say 320.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna target Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, apartments for sale, and anything to do with real estate, and have like 11 of them going down. But the quality is not really good. So what you say is narrow down, like, you know, very specific.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that kind of answers, because I've like, you know, 12 areas of interest, which I've realized. And I call this lady, no, I'm just looking around.
And you get a lot of, you know, you have to be okay with the no's.
Yeah.
If you're not okay with the no's, I mean, we get a ton of no's. I mean,
Yeah.
even our best conversion rate on an internet lead is, right now it sits at 11% over since 2011. You know, our best source, our worst source, you know, we probably sit at the industry average is 1%. 1% conversion. We really look like, we track this, and I hear people all like to pontificate that they get better numbers, and I would just like to do a forensic analysis of their mathematics, because I call BS on a lot of people who are, oh yeah, I convert Zillow at 10 or 12. It's like, whatever. No, you don't. I appreciate that you think you do. And you might if you don't have a bunch of leads, but I can tell you, if you can convert at Zillow or Realtor.com at anywhere between 5 and 6%, you're pretty much in the top 1% of people on those platforms. And anybody who says they're converting higher, they just don't get enough leads, or they're not being truthful, or they don't know how to do math. It's a combination thereof. And I'm not trying to be egotistical about that. It's just, I've talked to a lot of people, and there's just the people that really generate a lot of leads on those platforms, they're converting 5 to 6, maybe 7 at the very most. I mean, Zach used to work at Zillow and Trulia. So, I mean, right, Zach? I'm not, you know, coming from the guy that worked at the company, right, Zach?
Yep, we told average agents would convert at 4%.
It's coming from the guy that worked at the company. So anybody that's telling you that they convert higher, I guess what I'm getting to is, don't run your math on those bad numbers. Don't run your math on 10 or 12, because if you're running your math on 10 and 12 versus 4, you have a 3x multiplier of potentially losing your shirt. Because 4 times 3 is 12. So you can see how that can go wrong real fast. But to answer your question, where do people do their deals that don't have the money to do it? I took a big risk probably 5 years ago, and I just said, whatever, I'm going to allocate X amount of dollars to doing this. You know, I think it was, at first, it was like $36,000 a year, so like $3,000 a month, and it's progressively gone up. And you have to have the team and support system in place to do that. But remember, guys, 5 years ago, it was my wife and I, and we did like $17 million, and it was the 2 of us. And now there's a bunch of us, and we'll do $120 million, which I'm very flattered and grateful of. But again, it's not me. I laid the foundation. It's all those guys. It's not me. You know, Brooke and I still sell though. You know, we still sell quite a bit of real estate, but we like doing that too. So you have to start somewhere is what I'm getting at, I guess, with all this stuff, and but just spend as much as you can per lead where it's not going to make you go broke. Just don't be attached to generating a bunch of leads for little money, because a bunch of leads for little money is typically not going to get you, unless it's your sphere, you know, or if you're doing door knocking, but we're talking about online stuff, right? So I'm not really going into that stuff because I'm just talking about online. But a lot of times, if you have a great online presence, it really helps to land those sphere leads, or it will help you to land those door knocking leads, or help you to land, because now we've gotten to the point where we have leads come in and we really have to dig in with the lead. Like, hey, I want to give credit where credit is due, Jessica. I appreciate you coming and giving me a phone call just so I can be thankful to the person that gave me your information. Where did you find us? And sometimes not a person will be like, I don't know, I saw your sign, or I saw you on Facebook, or I saw you on Trump Talk, or whatever. Those are joke guys. So look there and spend as much money as you can on the best quality leads that you can, and it will save you time and effort dramatically. I guess what I'm getting down to. So with Facebook Command, I guess I'll probably go back to the team, and a lot of teaching is sometimes great to me because I'll probably go back to them and say, see if there's a way that we can spend $10 or $15 a lead. And that's what I'll go do. So I'll go spend $10 or $15 a lead instead of 40 cents. And I'll report back, and we'll do a test, and we'll see if we can do that over a 2-month period of time. And my goal probably would be to run 200 leads through there. And that's how I'll look at it. That's how I'll look at it. So I'll go spend $2,000 to $3,000 in the course of 2 months for 20 leads, and I'll see what the quality is when I spend that kind of money. But I bet the quality goes up dramatically. Because I can tell you, we've had leads we had a lead come in this year that Ashley converted on our team. We don't do any cherry picking on the team, and I'm very proud to say that. And what cherry picking means is a lot of times the lead agent will be like, I'm taking all the highest value leads. Ashley sold the most expensive house that we sold on the Huerkamp Home Group this year. It was $1.6 million. It was a realtor.com lead. I'm sure that lead cost $500. She showed them exactly one house, and the total commission check, I don't know, someone run math, 1.6 times 0.027.
It's a little over like.
What do we got for an exact number?
43,200.
Yeah,
What's that?
43,200.
43,200. Now, is that maybe a little bit of an abnormality? Yeah, it is. And
Still happen.
it still happened. It still happened. But be careful. Because like with that lead, we don't let that dollar volume skew our system either for our numbers. We put that back to the average in our system. We said, okay, we know that this is an outlier. This is a purple unicorn with pink hooves, and we know that it's an outlier. And that the chances of that being duplicated next year, less than 5%, in my opinion. Yep. So, but we took that out. We went to the bell. We said, okay, we're going to dumb it down to the average. We know that the money was generated there, but we're not going to base our future decisions in that particular platform off of this outlier that's sitting out there, because it could set us up for disaster. So you always got to be true to yourself and say, okay, did we say something bad?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought we did. That's okay.
I need to go here.
I'm kidding, Yeah, all good. So any questions on social media that you control, but you pay for? Because we've talked about social media that's free, that you control. We've talked about lead generation online that you control, but you pay for. So do we have any questions on the first couple at all? So we've touched a little bit on Zillow and Truly on Realtor.com. We can go into that as much or as little as you guys want. I know Gary's stance on this, and it's been the same since I've been at Keller Williams. You're spending money to dance with the devil. And I am a firm believer that Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com, their end game is how can they be part of the whole transaction, right? They have intentions to represent the buyer, represent a seller all the way through, right? That's their intentions. There's no qualms about it. That's just what their intentions is. And basically they've flat out come out and said that that's what they want to do. That's okay. And I think it's a lot harder thing to crack than a lot of people think it is. You know, Experian, the founder of Zillow, used to work at Microsoft, and he and Bill Gates basically, they formed, it was either Experian or Expedia, I can't remember which one. But that was their goal there, was to take the travel agent out of the business, right? That's ultimately what their goal was. And they did the same thing they're doing the same thing with Zillow. So Burden, I can't remember his first name, but one of the founders of Zillow, his name's Burden. And he was the guy that worked at Microsoft and did the launch with Bill Gates. And so they looked at what's the next thing that we can disrupt and potentially take online. But here's the thing, real estate's not a commodity. So I think that's the hardest thing that people are having get their hands wrapped around, is realizing that real estate's not a commodity. You know, it's not a barrel of oil. It's not a plane ticket to Jamaica. It's just not a commodity. So the chances of, and there's so much emotion, right? Like a plane ticket, yeah, whatever, it cost me $500 to $750, but it's $500 to $750. A piece of real estate, far, far different. Like even when I'm looking to buy properties out of state, you know, like when I bought a cabin, a Airbnb that I have in Idaho, I still found an agent out there. I didn't go out and do it on my own. I don't care how much data I had. I wasn't going to do it on my own. Did I get a referral fee? Absolutely. But I didn't go do it on my own. And why didn't I do it on my own? Because every human being's number one fear is fear of loss. So I'm not going to go make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars decision on my own, or let some algorithm tell me what it's worth. No, can't do that. But Zillow, Trulia, and Realtor, they have their place. We use it to build our data bank. And that term or phrase was probably coined by a gentleman by the name of Lance Loken. If you ever want to find, Lance is number one, number two real estate agent with Keller Williams year in, year out. Last year he sold 2,500 units. He's out of Houston, Texas. I've been fortunate to go down and spend a day and a half with Lance. He's a great guy, very generous. What's his website where you can go find all his information? Is it Loken Group Shares? Yep. Just Google Loken Group Shares. Or yeah, TLG Shares. TLG Shares, yeah. There's TLG Gives and TLG Shares. I think it's TLG Shares, but just go Loken Group Shares. You have to put in your information, and then you get access to everything that they have. They put on this drive, and it basically shows everything. It shows you their team retreats. It shows you everything. So Lance is probably one of the more humble, giving people I have ever met in my entire life, especially considering, you know, I don't know what it was last year. It was like $15 million in GCI or something ridiculous. But great for him. He started selling real estate, I think 2008.
Yeah, not that one.
12 years. 12 years from nothing, and literally he didn't have a lot for him, to extremely successful now. So yeah, there you go. If you want to do Zillow or TrulyOrReader.com, I'm happy to talk to people about it. But it really is, if you come to me and you say that your budget's less than $2,500 a month, I'll tell you it's not a good idea to do. And if you think that you're going to spread that $2,500 over a bunch of zip codes, that's also not a good idea to do. And if you think you're going to spend that $2,500 in Edina and get 2 leads on a monthly basis, that's also not a good idea to do. So you got to look for the average. You know, you got to look for the average in those, and you got to commit to it for a long period of time. I mean, we had a lead source that we spent $50,000 on before we did our first closing. So, and that's a risk I'm willing to take. But don't do that if you don't have the pockets to do it, because it's just, you don't have to. I have the luxury where we can do that, and I live a very frugal and humble life. My car car in the parking lot, it might look fancy. I don't think it's worth $9,000. I know it's not. I paid cash for it. I paid $14,000 for that car. So if you be humble and you live well below your means, that's how you can take those risks. I live in a $375,000 house. Your house, per Robert Kiyosaki, is a liability if it's not paying for itself. I'm not living with someone else, so I'm not house hacking. But the only way that you can do any of this stuff that I do, and I'm not sitting up here in a soapbox, this is just my story. You can take it or leave it, and I don't care if you like it or if you love it, doesn't make, or you hate it, I don't really care. It's just my story. But that's the truth. That's what I do. I'm not saying anybody else should do it, but that's what I do. Now, I'm extremely handy too. So people are like, oh, you know, how do you have, you know, that car and you have to work on it? Yeah, I have to work on it, but I guess I know how to work on cars too. But you can be humble in other ways in life too. You know, it sounds ridiculous, but I can be equally as happy eating a $400 a plate meal at Manny's or $200 as I can be actually at McDonald's. I really don't care. I'm kind of that easy, you know, and that might sound God honest truth. I really don't care, but be humble. And if you're humble enough and you save and you live below your means, that's how people get really, really, really ahead in life. It's the people, and that's where you got to be really careful, like kids or family members. And I've just seen so many horrible stories too. You got to be really careful about judging somebody on social media based on what they're putting on there. Just be super careful of that. Just for your own mental well-being, for your kids' well-being, your grandchildren's well-being, be really, really, really careful about looking at somebody that's on social media and being like, oh, they're the shit because they're flying on a plane and, you know, a private jet. And it's like, I have friends that own private jets. I mean, I personally know Gary Keller, and he's worth over $1 billion, and he's not up on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. Now, is like Kylie Jenner, is she out there and she made herself a billionaire? Yeah, but I think you got to be careful. That's your 1 in a million. That's your Mark Zuckerberg, right? She's the personality of Instagram because she's like the Mark Zuckerberg guy. Those are the 1 in a million or 1 in 100 million things. And so be very, very careful internally yourself looking at any of those platforms and being like, oh, you know, they have such a much better life than me. I think there's probably some psychologist term for all of this, but just be careful. I mean, I know some people that you would think had a nickel that are worth over $100 million, and you would never know. Driving around in diesel trucks and don't care, you know, about anything.
Well,
but
don't compare
those people are humble.
beginning to somebody else's middle.
Yeah. Yeah. Be very, very careful about judging anything in life about what you see on social media. Most important thing I can think next that I can talk to you all about is scripting. You really got to get like LP Mama down to a science. You really got to role play through that and do it at a super high level, or you can waste a lot of time. So not putting anybody on the spot, but Zach and I can do this quick, so then it's easy. Zach, why don't you, we'll act like I'm calling you, and
As an agent, you're the client?
no, I'll be the agent.
But come up here because they're gonna record, otherwise.
Oh, what do I have to do? Oh,
The microphone.
Zach's got a loud voice. We've thought about putting a muzzle on him, but
Put the mask on.
muzzle's not a HIPAA violation, is it?
Ask him.
Ring, ring.
Well,
Hey, Zach, Jason Huerkamp here with Keller Williams and Zillow. I see that you're interested in a property right here in Burnsville on 123 Banana Street. What has you interested in that property?
just overall looks of it, looks like the layout looks good from pictures.
Yeah, it looks like a great property. Let me bring it up here quick to check the availability and just a couple of other quick questions for you. So that home is priced at $300,000. Is that kind of within your comfort range on price?
Yeah, we're looking to stay pretty close to that.
Okay, looking to stay pretty close to that. Okay, and tell me a little bit about your motivation. Are you currently renting, or do you have a home that you're looking to sell?
I have a home that I'm selling out of state, and I'm looking to move here to the Twin Cities.
Okay, and so that home that you're looking to sell out of state, you already have a real estate agent out of state that you're working with?
I do. It's currently listed.
Okay, it's currently listed, great. And how long has it been on the market?
About a week.
Okay, and how long do you anticipate before you have a purchase agreement on that?
Hoping within the next day or two.
Okay, all right. And so locally, I want to make sure I don't step on any toes. Do you have a real estate agent that you're currently working with at all?
I do not.
Okay, so you're not signed with anybody?
Nope.
Have you been out looking at homes even?
No, not really. We just got in town, so we've been looking a lot online, but now that we're here, we'll be here for about a week, so we want to see if we can get some homes.
Some
that we can
showings
get.
set up? Okay,
Yep.
so other than the one on 123 Banana Street, are there any other homes that you're potentially interested in?
Not yet. My wife's been doing most of the looking, to be pretty frank with you. But she said that she wanted to see this one for sure, so I can't answer that question exactly.
Okay, great. But if I could find, this is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage that's at 300,000. If I could find you 2 or 3 other ones, would it make sense that we took a peek at those also? If we can look at 123 Banana?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, great. And last but not least, Zach, I have a time available today at 5 or tomorrow at 6 p.m. to look at that property. Which would work better for you guys?
Today at 5 would be better for us.
Okay, today at 5 would be better for you. Well, great. It looks like this property is available. I'll go ahead and do my best to get it scheduled. With COVID and everything, sometimes there's a little bit more notice that we need than 3.5 hours, but I'll go ahead and get it scheduled, and then I'm going to look for a couple other ones so we can make the best use of your time. And then, Zach, I can show you at that time how the Huerkamp Home Group shows houses, which is definitely a lot different than the average agent. We don't like to be tour guides. If it's okay with you, when we go out and look at properties, we're going to point out all the imperfections that we see that are probably more than $500 to fix. And so hopefully you'll learn a lot about homes while you're out with us, and then you can decide from there if we're a fit to work with you and your wife. Does it sound good?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right, sounds great. We'll see you at 5 tonight, and we'll go ahead and get that scheduled, and I'll shoot you a text to confirm. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Zach.
Lender?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Does he have money?
Yeah.
He does. Cash.
I missed that, but yeah. You guys got, so we got to understand though is, did that sound scripted at all?
No,
No.
not at all.
Yeah,
It just sounded like you knew what you were talking about.
yeah,
Like you've done it.
A
That it's your
billion
job.
times.
even though I missed the lender. But yeah, the lender we can roll into, but you guys can imagine how that goes, but you got to go through. But that was, that's pretty much memorized. I didn't have, that showing. That was obviously very memorized, but it takes a lot of time to do that. And you're going to fumble through it a little bit, but if you don't do that, you're going to set yourself up for a disaster. I mean, even like a couple weeks ago, I typically don't take any leads on our team. I just work mostly with past clients. And, I took a lead, and the person wanted to see a house in Edina or something. It was like $500,000, and I got to the agent part, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm signed with so and so. They're just out of town, so I want to really see the house." I'm like, "Well, I guess go with one of their team members then." And they're like, "Well, they don't have a team member," and I'm like, "Well, that's unfortunate because then the house might be gone by the time they get back and they're able to show it to you, but I can't show you the house." But it happens all the time, guys, and the thing that I want to make sure that everybody understands is what's the most valuable thing on earth?
Time.
Time.
Love.
You could say
What?
time.
Wrong, Sarah. Wrong.
Wrong.
It's not love. It is.
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that. And as far as I'm concerned, business-wise, it's time. And it's also the thing that people don't take control over. They think they do. They just lie to themselves. Most people lie to themselves, if we're going to be frank about time and time management. Just like they lie to themselves about New Year's resolutions. So don't lie to yourself about time. Make sure that you're the boss of your time and that you really commit to a schedule between 6 in the morning and noon. 6 hours a day that you should be pretty committed to GSD, get shit done. After that, do whatever you want. And don't lie to yourself. that I just see it time and time again. And the reason I can say that is because I lied to myself dramatically early on in my career. So if you want to really leapfrog and be great in business, don't lie to yourself. Like really get shit done and do it between 6 in the morning and noon. Because I typically get up at 6 in the morning. You know, right now I'm probably not to the office until about 9, but I get up at 6, I do my workouts, I go through my emails, I spend time with my kids, I follow up with leads early and, you know, relatively early in the day. I get here about 9 and then I'm helping agents, I'm doing CMAs, I'm following up still with additional leads. And by noon, quite frankly, if you really get shit done in those first 6 hours of the day, the rest of the 6 will just fall into place. But I find that most people are like, well, you know, I'll get up at 10, you know, and then I'm, you know, somehow to the office, you know, twice a week by 11. And then I, you know, make 3.5 phone calls and shoot out 500 text messages through some text system and nobody called me back. So I do that for about 2 months. And then somehow I find myself out of real estate in 2 years. I don't know what to say to that. That's sad. I apologize that our industry allows that to happen, but they do. And so that's why if you're in a class of 100, within 5 years, there'll be less than 5 people left that got their real estate license. Just a fact. So I guess what you guys all have to do is look at yourselves and say, how am I going to be one of those 5 people? How am I not going to be the other 95? And that stat will hold true from now until the end of time. It'll be that stat. Just it is what it is, which is okay. But you got to do the LP mama. You got to really do the LP mama. I'm sorry, I got off track a little bit there, but you got to make sure that you're setting the time to correctly. With our team, it's a little bit different, but when you're an individual agent, please, 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 everything is an appointment to you. Dinner with your significant other, appointment. Vacation, appointment. You're going to the dentist, appointment. Everything's an appointment. And you have to realize that because consumers respect when you have an appointment. Oh, sorry, I have another appointment. They do not respect with, sorry, it's my dinner anniversary. Even though most people should respect that, 50 to 70% of people don't care because immediate gratification, everything, please, 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 please put in your calendar as an appointment. I don't care what it is. If I'm gonna go every night, my son and I go walking for about 4 miles and between 6 and 7 o'clock, it's an appointment. Oh, it's an appointment. So that's why when I asked Zach, you know, what time would work better for you? Today at 5 and tomorrow at 6? It's very strategic instead of, hey, Zach, when would you like to see that house? That's what everybody does. Who's done it? I've done that. Nobody else has done that? I'm the only one. Okay. You know what, Ronnie? I'd like to see that house on Saturday at 1:30. Well, what the hell did that just do to your Saturday? And then, yeah, then you, because it's your only, my precious little deal. It's your precious. It's my precious. Gollum, right? My precious. And you're like, I'm going to run there. Even though you got a birthday party that you're supposed to go to the family and you're just trucking on down to that. That person probably would have shown, you probably could have said, you know what? I got an appointment at that time, but I can show it to you at 9 o'clock on Saturday. How does that work for you, Ronnie? 90% of the time, you know what they'll say? Yeah, I can do that. But we all are Gollum, my precious, and we just let them run us all over the railroad tracks. It's like, what do we do that for? And then you get there and you find out they have an agent that's out of town, and then you hate life. And then you come back to me and you say, Jason, this doesn't work. And I come back to you and I say, well, what did you do? And you tell me what you did, and I say, well, that was dumb. I told you not to do that.
Don't tell me what to do, man.
You know, and again, this is all a little bit tongue in cheek, guys, but you get where I'm going. You know, so you just got to be careful. CRMs, we obviously have Command that's free to everybody. We don't use it currently because it doesn't really, it's not really built for teams. There are teams way larger than me that are using it and breaking it, and I applaud them because they're making life easy for me when I use it. I'm just choosing not to use it right now. You all can go in there and use it. And
They all are gonna
Okay.
use it.
We will use it, but we just are not. A great system that's relatively inexpensive that hooks up to everything and plays super nice in the sandbox is Follow Up Boss. If somebody thought Command wasn't for them, Follow Up Boss, I think, is $199 a month. They play super nice in the sandbox. They're probably the most friendly, usable system that's out there. For another business that I own, I do use Follow Up Boss in that business. I currently have Commissions Inc. in our real estate teams business. We did have Boomtown at one time. Boomtown Commissions Inc. Without any PPC or pay-per-click are $1,500 a month. So I'd love to get away from that. And sometime I will, and then we'll take that $1,500 and buy a Ferrari. No, we'll spend more money on lead generation.
That's your $10,000 loss.
Yeah, no, we'll spend, well, it's more than that, 17, right? Yeah, 15
Cut that
a
out.
month, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll spend that on more lead generation or things that'll benefit the team, something like that. You know, we won't go spend it on a fancy car. AI systems for follow-up. We currently use Agent Legend. I think it does cost us about $199 a month. It helps us mainly weed out the no's. So it automatically sends a voice message, a text message within a certain period of time of the lead coming in. And then it looks to engage the lead over time. And usually it's, I'm not Zach, I'm Tiffany, take me off your list. That's awesome. Because then I know not to follow up with that person. I know not to spend time on them because they were a 40-cent Facebook lead. That isn't going to work. Not saying, I'm sure there's some success. You probably have, it's probably, you can finally find the person that sold $1 million house in Malibu because of a 40-cent Facebook lead. I'm sure it's out there. It's probably few and far between, but I'm sure it's out there. So what works? Guess we've kind of gone through that, right? Scripts, we went over that. How to convert, we probably should work, maybe say a couple things on that. And I don't know that I put it on here. Oh, it's on the back. We actually have it back. We can keep rolling a little bit if you guys are okay. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody want to run away yet? I don't blame you if you do because it's been done before. Follow-up plan. I'm telling you, we're vicious and we're good at it. I don't make no qualms about it. And I've blood, sweat, and tears to be able to say that. If you're not calling that lead within 10 seconds of it coming in, good luck. You lost. People will say 5 minutes. That's BS. Maybe it says 5 minutes does not convert leads at a high level. They just don't. Otherwise they're getting leads that are extremely, extremely exclusive. We choose not to go that path because those extremely exclusive leads cost way more money than we're even talking about. So we choose not to do that. Got to call them within 15 seconds at the very most. You're calling, you're dialing. Ronnie doesn't answer. I get his voicemail. I immediately hang up. I immediately call Ronnie back again. Because if I'm calling him twice,
It's important.
it might be important.
Mm.
We'll leave a voicemail and we'll send a text. We send a text with, I use Zach's face, but no, I'm kidding. I use my face, but we send a text with our face. This is Jason with the Huerkamp Home Group and whatever lead source it is. It's just left you a voicemail. Please give me a call back as soon as you can.
Is that you use Twilio for the text, or what do you use for your texting service?
I just use my text on my phone.
Oh,
So you do use your cell phone then? to log in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, I want people to get back to me. My phone's not out there necessarily for agents to call me because there's people that know more information than I do about a lot of things. So they should call the heart of the house rather than me. But yeah, I text off my phone. We might change that a little bit, but I would encourage everybody in here, text off your phone. Don't get fancy. Don't need to.
You have a lead phone that's.
We do have a lead phone too. Zach's got it right now. Yep, 612-502-SOLD. So if you're looking to refer anybody to us, that you were to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I totally would do that.
Well, but especially like for us, especially with the lead phone, it's imperative that you send a text through your cell phone. Tell them because otherwise they just tell you the lead phone.
Yeah, but we play super nice in the sandbox too. We're not cutthroat. So I think that's the biggest thing with our team is everybody knows there's going to be wins and loses on leads, and it's just going to come out in the wash somewhere. I and that's what we're very fortunate and blessed with is, we're not cutthroat on that. We know that there's more than enough to go around, and we'll figure out how to make everybody happy. Call back within an hour. Again, hour after they come in, call them back because they got their guard down. Call them back. 24 hours, call them back. Very novel idea. Within 7 days, 333, at least 3 calls, at least 3 texts, at least 3 emails. Ben Kenny, I don't know that I totally agree with this, but Ben made $12 million or something in GCI last year. He's a great agent out of Bellevue, Washington. And Ben in 2008 or 2007 was a cable install guy. And now he arguably, here he does. He's the most successful individual agent. He owns multiple market centers, multiple other revenue streams, coaching software companies. What I'm getting at is not like how much I love Ben. I think I do love everything he gives out there. But I'm telling you what can be done in a relative short period of time. 12 years. 12 years. Holy moly. And he was broke. I mean, if you ever get a chance to listen to Google him or inspirational story from like family reunion, I mean, sit there and try not to cry. You know, it's basically what it gets down to.
Spell his last name?
K-I-N-N-Y, right? K-I-N-N, maybe K-I-N-N-E-Y?
EY.
Yeah, K-I-N-N-E-Y. Remarkable guy, no doubt about it. Where I was going with that is he'll say they buy or they die. That's his
Say it again.
terminology. They buy or they die. That's how he looks at it.
It's intense.
They're buying with you.
They buy or they die. That's his words, not mine. But I think you have to shoot for intense and end somewhere way above soft. Because a lot of people end up at soft.
Yeah.
A lot of people end up at soft and like, oh my God, they answered. Click. That's soft. Shoot for intense and end up between soft and intense. That's where you want to be, hopefully. If you don't want to be there, then I'd question what you're doing. Prioritize leads. Leads. A lot of people say in the next 30 days. The problem that I have with the next 30 days is 30 days somehow goes on in perpetuity. And somebody that was an A lead in January somehow is still an A lead today for a lot of people. And I look at that and I say, you are great at wasting time. You really are. Because an A lead to us is somebody that's going to buy this month. If I have an A lead on the 27th of the month, they better be super, super hot, or they are not an A lead. They very well could be a B lead, which is somebody that's going to buy next month. They could be a C lead, which is somebody that's going to buy between 60 and 90 days. Or they could be a D lead, 120 days plus. But your A leads are not A leads if they've been A leads since January. They're just not. And people will tell me, oh, they just can't find something. Okay, are they unrealistic in their pricing? Nope, they get beat out in multiple offers all the time. Okay. Should you maybe be looking at things that are 10 to 20% less expensive than their top of their range so that they can win in multiple offers? Because everybody likes to look at the top of their range. Everybody. Well, most people. I'm approved for 250. I'm gonna look right at 250. Good luck. Good luck. If you're approved to 250, you better be looking at 10% lower than that so you can win in multiple offers. Because if you're only able to offer 250 on a 250 house, guess what? Not gonna happen. So make sure that's a very good rule of thumb, A, B, C, and D. Conversion rates. Everybody is like, oh, what can I do? How can I do it? Now this only works when you have time on task over time with you doing the thing that's predictable and you get predictable results. So here's how your predictable results. If you're very, very bad and you talk to 200 adults, people that are decision makers, willing, able-bodied adults, 1 in 200 deal, 1 in 200. So you should do a deal for every 200. 200 adults that you talk to, could be banging on doors, could be, and this will be true over a 6-month period of time. So if you went out and you talked to 200 people in a week, banging on doors, and I know we can't do that right now, that'll come back, you know, by this time next year, we'll be able to bang on doors again. Or if you dial through the white pages or what have you, if you talk to 200 adults, you should find one piece of business over a 6-month period of time. So if over a 6-month period of time, if you talked to 1,200 people, so 200 people a month, 6 months, you should really find 6 deals. And that's if you're very mediocre or green at what you're doing, it should be right in there. Zach, you would agree with those numbers, right?
Yeah.
If you're really, really awesome and you have really good leads, it can get down to 40, 1 in 40, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit better than that. If you're very, you know, because there's things even like Remind through the North Star that's free to all of us, where you can go in there and you can look at it and you can say, and it's free to everybody. Take the Remind class if you want to. It's no secret.
Ronnie's a master, so
It's free now.
talk to him.
So just go into Remind, and you can say, right now I know there's 336 people in Apple Valley that have a high priority of selling in the next 12 months. Huh? I could go call them. I could send them all postcards. I could go knock on all their doors one by one. That's free. Now that's not what this class is about. This class was about internet lead generation, but that's free. Well, it's really not, right? Because what's your most valuable resource? It's your time.
Where did you get that information? MLS?
Yep, that's probably one of those things where you clicked and you said, I've read this.
I'm gonna see if I can.
It's one of those things where you clicked and you said, I read this, even though you didn't read it.
That's right. It's still sitting there forever. I'll pay later.
So just make, you know, on the MLS, it's actually a good idea, believe it or not, when it, instead of clicking, I've read this, read it.
Yeah.
It's a novel thing, but read it, because they send something out about that. But I'm not giving you a hard time.
No, that's okay. I have like 20 that I haven't read. It's just, I read later. If I don't find
Maybe
it.
something to do today. Sphere with a good 36 touch. I'm not teaching a 36 touch class. We send out more than 36 touches on an annual basis. They can't just be emails. It's got to be 4 phone calls a year. We do client events. We're sending out postcards. We're inviting people to various giveaways and Yeti coolers and things like that. You can see what we're doing by following our Facebook page, and I don't care, steal it all. And I can say that because even if this room had 1,000 people in it, there would be maybe 5 people in there that would even do it. And there's so much business game on. I hope you're successful with it. You know, honestly, I do. So, but I know most people won't do it. So that's why I say it. Please prove me wrong and do it. I'd love to see it. I truly would. I'm not saying that sarcastically. Like, I want everybody to make money. I just know a lot of people aren't willing to do it. But 1 in 6, and we hold true to that right now. You know, we have a data bank that's about 1,100 right now. And, you know, we know that we can pull, you know, 20% out of there at the most, probably 15% in deals, but we'll do somewhere right around that. You know, we'll do 150 Sphere or past client deals this year. But that's because we've done that 36 touch repeatedly over the last 3 years. No different than Graham, what's his name, that started 3 years ago and has 2 million subscribers on YouTube, right? It took me 3 years, but a lot of people never get started. They kind of get started and then they fall short before that hockey stick, before they get to that curve, you know? Internet lead, 1% is the industry standard. If you're really, really good with follow-up, 5 to 6%. There are outliers that'll get up to 7. Anything above 7, I question how the math got there. So I'm sure it happens, but it's not enough leads or it's not knowing simple math. It's one of the two. But there's always somebody that'll prove you wrong that somehow is a way outlier, and great. I'd love to learn from them. I'd love to see their systems. So questions, comments, concern, I went way over, I apologize, but.
One question that I get a lot is, you know, I'm newer or I'm new and my data bank is not that big. and I've already talked to everybody, so what do I do?
I always think somebody's got to, your data bank is number one, and then you have to go out and pick one more bucket that you're going to chase after. So what's that other bucket?
Yep.
You know, is it doing social media at a high level? Is it door knocking? Is it phone calling? I mean, I used to be a one-on-one coaching client 12 years ago with a company called Mike Ferry. Mike's kind of Mike was like the scripting expert, right? And Mike is kind of one of the oldest people in the business. His son, Tom Ferry, puts out a ton of helpful information. If you don't follow Tom on YouTube, follow Tom. Just following Tom probably should get you all 5 deals a year pretty easily. If you follow Tom, what you can't do though is, I'm gonna go door knock for 5 days, and then I'm gonna go telephone prospect for 2 days, and I'm gonna, don't do that. Just pick one of them. And you gotta not totally hate doing it either, right? Because if you totally hate doing it, you're not gonna do it, and eventually you just won't do it. So pick the one activity that makes your skin crawl the least, I guess is what I'm saying. No, that's true. I'm just being
Find your
frank.
passion.
Yeah, pick something, you know, pick, and it's not gonna be your passion. For more than likely, it's not gonna be your passion.
Like, but for me, it's networking.
Yeah, yep, that's true. But some people that are, you know, very type B personalities, they're not type A's, they're not gonna go out and network, you know? So find something that you'll actually do for 6 months, because most people won't do it for 6 months. They just don't, you know? And I'll always have a reward at the end, you know, right? That's what I really encourage everybody to do, is like, what's the reward? And what I mean by that is, once you have some sort of track record, you can say, like, what's our average commission right now? And we'll end this pretty quick.
7.
Well, it's 300, rolling 12 months is 330, right? Let's take 3%, we'll just say 3% is the average overall. So what do we get? 330 times 0.03, it's 10,000 bucks, right? So how I would look at this, guys, if it was me, is I would say, okay, I'm going to print off a piece of paper, and I'm going to have 200 people on that piece of paper. And those 200 people are going to be the people that I want to talk to in a month, right? And I'm going to say that each one of those 200 people is worth how much if I know it's 1 in 200, I know it's $10,000. What's 10,000 divided by 200? 50 bucks. So for every person that you contact, if it takes 200 people to sell a home, every no is worth $50. Every no is worth $50. If that's a game that you need to play with yourself, print off 200 people, put a shirt where Superman would go and say that's 40 bucks. And every time you touch a person, know that it's 40 bucks. And it can be different for different people. You know, if you're on our team, it's a little bit different depending on your position on our team. But I would figure out what each one of those people that you talk to is worth, and then look at it as a win. I talked to 10 people today that were adults, that were willing and able-bodied to buy homes. Every single one of them said no. It's a $400 day. That's awesome. Great. It's funny how some of those no's will call you back too, and they'll become yeses. So, what else? Bueller, questions, comments? Was this helpful?
Yes.
Waste of time?
Very helpful.
Anybody getting lightheaded because they took too much oxygen out of the air?
It's good. It's good.
Good. All right. Appreciate y'all coming. We're an open book, so anytime anybody's got a question, let me know. I'm happy to help you in any way that I possibly can.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Absolutely. Sorry we went long.
Oh, it was,